This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Leo Inc., Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.
Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new month and another episode of the LCTV News. I'm Danny Vittori, and summer adventures may be winding down, but all that means is fall events are taking their place. Come learn more about announcements from Lynn Public Schools, the City of Lynn, and several state departments. Then stick around to hear more about the updated cell phone policy told by the people who made the changes. Let's jump right into the news for Friday, September 5th, 2025. Lynn's preliminary election took place last Tuesday, September 2nd, to determine which candidates will be running in November's final election. For Ward 5, that meant 4 candidates became 2, as voters eliminated Liliana Patino and Augustina Avelino Matos. Josh Polanski and Cardelis Paez advanced with 110 and 62 votes respectively. 7 polling locations were open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. all around the city. Headed into the final election, there are now 2 candidates running in wards 1, 5, and 7, 5 for councilor at large, and 9 for school committee. Councilors in wards 2, 3, 4, and 6 are running unopposed. The November 4th election will decide 6 school committee members, 4 councilors at large, 7 ward councilors, and the mayor. Final Fridays wrapped up their 2025 season with Rhythm Royale and a backpack giveaway. Weather forced the event to move inside the Lynn Museum, but it did not deter the crowd, who were treated to a dance battle, free supplies, and a night of entertainment.
Your boy Mr. PSA, and we are here at the 4th annual I'm Me Be You backpack giveaway, and this year we got to partner with one of the greatest events ever in my own eyes, which is Final Fridays, brought to you by Janiyah Spencer in the Lynn Museum. Shout out to Lynn Museum, Incubate Co-working, Lynn Music Foundation, all of the volunteers that are here. We've got well over 200, 300 backpacks that we're handing out over here. School supplies, and anything that we don't give away at the backpack drive. We're gonna find different schools that are needing, teachers that need them, or families that need them, and we'll give them away that way. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, we're going right into Final Fridays. Final Fridays is the entire Rhythm Royale. The name says exactly what it is. It's gonna be a breakdance battle. There's money on the line, real competition, real talent, real people from this community.
There are so many familiar, lovely, beautiful faces in this space, and I'm just so happy to just know that there are people that not only love these events, but just love the community as much as I do. So please give yourself just one big round.
Again, just a great overall event to be at. So if you're not here, cry about it later when you see the footage, because you're gonna be mad that you weren't here, and you'll probably be upset that you didn't get any of these cool backpacks that we have here. Shout out to the Lynn Community TV, always in the right place at the right time, catching the right things and not the BS that people say about the city, but the real stuff that they say about the city, which is events like this. And you know what they say, quality people make quality events. And if you come to Lynn and come to any of these events, you'll see that we got a little bit of both. So it's your boy, Mr. PSA. We're here, you're not. I don't know what to tell you. Peace.
Essex Heritage announced the return of their annual Trails and Sales event series, running from September 13th to the 28th. There will be hundreds of events during these 16 days, spanning all 34 towns and cities within the Essex National Heritage Area. Trails and Sales is focused on fostering lasting connections between residents and their local history. To this end, there are 4 themes driving the 2025 programming. Essex County Revolution 250, as communities prepare for America's 250th birthday. From past to present, focused on lesser-known stories. Exploring Our Coasts and Waterways, which focuses on maritime resources and history. And finally, Outdoor Adventures, which covers conservation efforts while highlighting the natural diversity of Essex County. Visit lyntv.org for a list of all Trails and Sales events taking place in Lynn. On Wednesday, September 3rd, City Arts and Sciences Academy had their first day of school ever, welcoming 161 ninth graders and 122 sixth graders as the inaugural class. As for staff, there are 18 teachers, a paraprofessional, program specialist, nurse, and clinician. CASA will add 2 classes a year until they reach their full capacity as a 6 to 12 school. Currently, they are housed at the Fecto Leary building on North Street, but they will transition fully to the old Classical High School by next year. CASA is also a STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math school, focused on helping students prepare for the ever-evolving workforce. Students will engage in project-based learning, focusing on a different project each trimester. There is also a greater emphasis placed on community partnerships with organizations such as Raw Artworks and Girls Inc. Labor Day weekend is always a busy one, between back-to-school prep and the last few summer celebrations. First up was the annual St. George Grecian Festival, which features cuisine, clothing, dances, and jewelry from Greek culture. This event is extremely popular among the general public and especially members of the Greek community, many of whom have been volunteering at the festival for years.
Welcome everyone to St. George Grecian Festival 2025. The festival has been ongoing now for well over 35 years in the city of Lynn. This is the weekend, Labor Day weekend, where everyone in Lynn and the surrounding communities is Greek. For all weekend long, we have wonderful food, we have wonderful vendors, we have our raffle, 25,000 grand prize. So hopefully everyone's gonna be here having a good time and dancing the night away. I'm also here with my very important volunteer staff. Myself, I've been volunteering here for approximately 30 years.
Hello everybody, welcome to the festival. My name is Marina and partner here is Nora. We run the St. George Parents Association where we do activities for kids across the community, outreach to different families and groups. So if you'd love to come by and see us, we're here.
Hello, my name is Lena Triados and I'm over 20 years I think, maybe over. My kids, they went here at Greek school and they love it since they were little. And I'm at the Cafenio, Greek coffee, pastries, whatever you want. Come and enjoy us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Nora and we're here just celebrating this beautiful day and we invite all of you to come and join us.
Next up was another recurring event, the 4th annual Community Cookout and School Supply Giveaway at Kerwin Circle Basketball Court. Hosted by concerned citizens of Lynn, L-Hand, and running nationwide, this event serves the dual purpose as a fun afternoon while also providing families with much-needed resources for school. Last weekend, concerned citizens of Lynn, running nationwide, and L-Hand teamed up for the 4th annual Back to School Community Cookout and School Supply Giveaway. Residents were given the opportunity to fill backpacks with brand new school supplies, from folders to art supplies to even clothing. Kids ranging in age from elementary to high school participated in this free event to prepare for a new school year. There was also a fun element to the day, with a bouncy house for the kids, free slushies and hot dogs, and a basketball competition. The goal of the event was to provide much-needed supplies, while also giving families an afternoon to relax and enjoy the last bit of summer before another school year begins. Those who won the various basketball competitions were also awarded medals to top off an entertaining day. A backpack and school supplies are vital for success, and this event allowed anyone from the community to come and grab the tools they need to succeed in their next school year. Whether it was the new backpack itself, free community resources, or new clothes to style, this event gave families plenty of options, while looking and making sure that their kids are prepared for this upcoming school year. For LCTV News, I'm Danny Vittori.
Sunday, August 31st, was International Overdose Awareness Day. In honor of those who were lost to overdoses, purple ribbons were hung all around Central Square. Each ribbon had the name of a local individual lost to addiction, along with a list of sponsors who support substance abuse recovery, including the Recovery Exchange, Turn It Around, and Chapters Recovery Center, among others. Massachusetts proclaimed August 31st as Overdose Awareness Day in 2022, as stated by Governor Maura Healey, as a somber reminder of the grief and resilience that accompanies the loss of losing a loved one to overdose. Overdose Day is also a time when the community can look to each other for the comfort and strength needed to face the work that lies ahead. Lynn is also a member of the North Shore Public Health Collaboration, offering resources in overdose prevention, harm reduction, and grief support. The Lynn Health Department also offers ways for residents to obtain naloxone and fentanyl test strips, recognize overdoses, and get access to additional support resources. Last week on August 29th, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health announced that West Nile had been detected in mosquitoes collected from Lynn. West Nile is a mosquito-carried disease that is most commonly transferred to humans through the bite of an infected mosquito. While people of all ages can become infected, those over the age of 50 are at a higher risk of severe infection. Therefore, the Lynn Public Health Department released a list of common sense practices that people can do to protect themselves, such as using mosquito repellent with DEET and wearing long sleeves and pants while outside. The hours between dawn and dusk are peak mosquito biting times, so try to stay indoors or cover up if you must go outside. Drain standing water, as that is where mosquitoes lay their eggs, and repair any screens on your windows and doors. As of the 29th, on a scale from low to critical, Lynn is right in the middle at a moderate risk based on seasonal testing taking place from June to October of 2025. The Lynn City Soccer Tournament is back, featuring the girls' soccer teams of Lynn English, Classical, St. Mary's, and Lynn Tech. In the opening round, the Spartans ran over Tech 11-0, while the Rams took care of business against English 5-1 in the championship game. For the boys, St. Mary's just beat Lynn Tech 2-1 in the first round of the city tournament. English and Classical battled to a 2-2 draw in their match, but it was the Bulldogs who advanced on penalty kicks and will now face the Spartans in the championship. There is less than a month remaining in the MLB regular season, so every game feels significant. The Red Sox and Yankees continue to battle for the top wild card seed. Currently, they are tied at a 4.5 game advantage over third-seeded Seattle. Boston helped their cause, taking 2 of 3 against the Cleveland Guardians this past week, including a high-scoring 11-7 victory on the 2nd. School is back in session, and that means so is the new cell phone policy. Adopted by the Lynn School Committee on June 26th, it officially went into effect this month, September of 2025. Member of the school committee, Eric Dugan, as well as Enforcement Officer Charlie Gallo, were our guests on the Lowdown to shed some light on what this new policy means for students, teachers, and parents. Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we have two members from Lynn Public Schools to discuss the new cell phone policy. Thanks so much for coming on. Would you just mind introducing yourselves real quick?
Sure. I'm Eric Dugan. I'm on the school committee, and I'm the policy chair. So it was my role to kind of encourage this forward to the full committee. So I'm looking forward to talking about it today.
Thank you, and my name is Charlie Gallo. I'm the compliance officer for the Lynn Public Schools. One of my roles is to help the administration and help the school committee through Chairperson Dugan with creating, changing, and implementing new policies.
And I even said before we started this interview, my phone is in my office because the last thing I need is for it to go off during a cell phone, because that would happen to me.
Yeah, right. Mine's on silent, so we're good. Yeah.
So this new policy, it was just recently implemented back in June 26th, That's right?
June 26th, yes.
So it's not hugely different from the policy you already had, but would you be able to explain if some of the major differences that are going to go into effect?
Yeah, sure. Like you said, it's not hugely different. It's always been something that the Lynn Public Schools has asked of our students to not have the phones always off and away. The biggest difference is at lunch and in the hallways. We're asking now that students to have them off and away at those times as well. Biggest part of that is just to have consistency across the schools. We were seeing that, for example, maybe at classical they were allowed at lunch, whereas English they weren't, or vice versa, So we really want to try to bring consistency to the schools. I don't know if Charlie wanted to add to that, but
No, I think that's correct, and with purposes that we're trying to promote engaged learning, development of social skills,
right.
And general well-being, and we can talk about those things certainly as well. But facets of that, having the same rule at every school, we think will really help our students succeed.
It's, like you said, the consistency. It's not one rule over here, one rule over there. It's just, this is the blanket rule.
Correct, yeah, correct.
And for Lynn specifically, students, they can have their phones, they just have to be off and away. It's not like you're collecting them or putting them away or anything.
Correct. So procedurally, that'll kind of work out within the schools, but kids can bring their phones to school. I think that's a misconception that as I'm, it's a campaign season, so I'm out in the public, kind of making my argument why people should elect me again, but that's a misconception. A lot of people, what's this new policy? The kids can't bring their phones to school, but they can. The children can bring their phones to school. They just need to be off, out of sight, silent, when they get to school and during learning time. And like you said, it kind of avoids distractions during learning time, and it hopefully increases engagement, when they're in front of those teachers and they're learning, which is, ultimately the goal of school. So.
And Charlie, you've been speaking about another misconception of it too, which is parents can still get in contact with their children, so can they you go through the school instead of just texting them at lunch or something?
Exactly right, and that's so important that parents and students, go through official channels to contact each other during the school day. If a child needed to be dismissed, the school would need to know where that child's going, so it's important they do that and not offline, do that just through the school office, and so we're having sort of a theme of shared responsibility in this. The school will play its part. We're asking families to play their part and students to play their part to implement this policy.
And now there's also some chatter at the state level. There may be something going through there which is a little bit different, but again, along the same lines. Was that one of the reasons for you to change this policy now, or were there other factors that went into it?
Yeah, so that's definitely a big factor, in my mind at least. I wanted to get ahead of this, at least being the policy chair. And, Charlie and I really talked about this much earlier in the year, really kind of in the fall and winter. We started having conversations about this because just speaking from the Lynn delegates and speaking to the Lynn delegates, we sort of knew this was coming. They kind of said, hey, this is what's happening at the state level. So right now it's unanimously passed in the Senate a bell-to-bell cell phone ban across the state. So all districts, if this passes in the House, all districts will need to create a policy that implements a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. So in my mind, this gave us an opportunity to get ahead of it, which I think is important for Lynn to be ahead of the curve on things like this. So we'll be able to see how this goes this year, revisit it, see what happens at the state level. But from everything I've heard, it's probably going to pass the House fairly easily, and then Governor Haley has already been on record saying that if it comes to her desk, she's going to approve it. So it looks like this is our future. It looks like this is definitely going to pass. So I think, like I said, this really gives us an opportunity to be ahead of it at the local level and give us an opportunity to revisit, if the state, maybe is a little looser on what they want, or maybe they're a little tighter on what they want. Right. It gives us a year to practice with our students, and maybe we nailed it. Who knows? But we'll definitely revisit and see what we need to do.
It gives you a base level to at least start from, so you're not scrambling to try to keep up with state regulations. It's, well, we already have this policy, and like you said, maybe it works great and we don't have to change it, or maybe you just tweak it instead of having to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and do this next year when you're trying to catch up.
Exactly.
And in terms of, I know, well, Eric, you mentioned it a little bit, you had several reasons why you specifically supported doing this change, and Charlie asked you that as well, but would you mind starting with that?
Yeah, sure. So there's three real reasons I support it. So when Charlie and I first started the conversation, I like to do my due diligence on things like this, being the policy chair. Individual research on my end is really important. And one of the books that struck me that I read was called The Anxious Generation. And the author of that book, Jonathan Haidt, he lays out an argument that since 2012, mental illness has risen in teens significantly. To kind of coincide with that, another number is at that time, 2012, 70% of teens said that they also own smartphones, in that date. So, and there's a steep, uprise of mental illness at that time too. So I don't think that's a coincidence. And he lays out 4 kind of reasons for that. One is sleep deprivation, and we're all guilty of that. Just last night I didn't get a lot of sleep. I was playing a game on my phone, and before you know it, it's 2 a.m. And I think as an adult, I can kind of cope and get through my day, but as a teen, that's a little bit harder, As a youth, it's harder, and, that 8 hours of sleep is really important. Social deprivation is something else he mentions, that they're not having that face-to-face contact with their family, with their peers. So that's caused some of it. Attention fragmentation, and this is kind of what we've seen in our schools. It's hard for teachers to compete with TikTok and Instagram Reels, with that quick kind of 15-second, there's that instant gratification. So when they have those things in class, it's impossible, not hard. It's impossible for teachers to compete with that. And then finally, kids are addicted to it. We're all addicted to it. Kids aren't addicted to it. We're all addicted to our phones. And to say I'm not guilty of it would be lying. I'm very much addicted to my phone, and that's when I leave my house. Phone, wallet, keys. Where's my phone? And my whole life is on it. So that's first reason. I've done my due diligence. I've done my research, and that book kind of sticks in my brain as one of them. The other one is a lot of teachers reached out to me over the last several years, and being a teacher myself too. I teach 3rd grade, but even at that level, you see it. Kids they're sneaking their phones, and it's troubling being a teacher. But then Lynn teachers were reaching out to me too and saying, we really need to kind of do something about this. So that was another really important part when you're hearing from teachers. And they're saying to you that we're struggling with this, help us out. And so this is an attempt at that. And then finally, we already touched upon it, that we knew the state mandate was coming. So to be ahead of it, in my mind, is a really important detail that we couldn't just ignore. And so those are my 3 real big reasons that I support it, but I also want to acknowledge, families' concerns. I understand that in an emergency, they want to be in touch with their children. When my child was a senior at Classical, there was a stabbing at the school. My wife and I, we freaked out, we freaked out. And we wanted to be in touch, so I get that. But What we also need to remember is that the administration, the teachers, they train for things like this. You know, they have lockdown procedures. They you know, as school's approaching, they're going to be training with Officer Mackin, our resource officer, and going over all these things. And so we do have to trust the adults and trust that they're trained for this and trust that they're going to take care of our children. And the other part is if kids are on their phones, you know, I've talked to lots of police officers, you're flooding those lines, you know, and that makes it really difficult for our first responders as well. So you put all those things together, and this is why I'm a supporter of this policy. So, but again, I do want to acknowledge the concerns. They are valid, very valid concerns, but, you know, I do support this policy.
No, you have all that research to back it up, so, and you have it from the policy chair, teacher perspective, and then you, Charlie, you're the compliance officer. So why? That's another. Why do you think?
Sure. So I was happy to help with this policy. Chairperson Dugan and I and members of the administration spoke a while back about it for all the reasons that you so articulately spoke of, and a number of principals came to me as well around that time saying we need calibrated practices district-wide across all high schools, and also expectations to be set at earlier grades so that when we get to middle school, when we get to high school, we know what the rules are. So this is gradual, this is moderate. It is not a total prohibition on all devices. It is something that will be gradual and moderate in preparation for maybe something more strict happening at the state level. We don't know, but we hope even if nothing happens at the state level, that this will promote engaged learning. This will promote social skills. So at lunchtime, we're talking to each other. We're not, you know, just on our phones. And the well-being of students. No one can deny, you know, the cyberbullying, cheating, inappropriate imagery that comes across on phones, but also, and Chairperson Dugan was smart to talk about the safety aspect. In an emergency, you know, and as a parent, you'd want, of course, to have access to your child, but we need to keep those lines open for police and first responders. We need not to have individuals in the community sort of rush to scenes because we need those roads open. So using official channels rather than sort of cell phone is what's going to help everybody in those types of situations. The last thing you would ever want is a cell phone going off or a voice to be heard or a vibration to be heard in those kinds of situations. So, you know, of course, families are you know, thinking about those issues, but just stepping back in big picture, this policy really helps to put our students in the safest possible light.
I think another part too that we didn't touch on is their recording devices too, you know, and
that's true.
There has been, unfortunately, you know, students record other students in compromising situations, and so we do need to think about the privacy of our students, and that's a really big, you know, part of you know, as a school committee member, we do need to think about that. There are lots of legal aspects to that, where if kids are walking around with recording devices all day, that poses difficulty, you know, so there is that part of it as well. So I just wanted to add that too.
Like you said, it's the safety piece, it's keeping them engaged, it's doing all of these positive things for the students themselves, and of course if there's any violations for it, it's kind of the standard for breaking any of the rules. You may contact parents, confiscate, etc., right?
It is, and I'm so glad that you asked about that, Danny, because what we've done over the summer since this passed in preparation for the school year is very carefully planned out proactive measures. So there has been messaging that's gone out to all families from the superintendent, and many schools have adopted it. There have been posters in English and Spanish. There will be positive messaging, not singling out and confrontational with students, but positive messaging and reminders through the day, not just in response to violations, but really setting that tone. And it's going to be gradual and it's going to take some time to do, but we hope that that approach will work better than, you know, automatic suspension or something along those lines.
And I had mentioned addiction too. We can't just expect kids to just you know, end that addiction. So there's going to be progressive, you know, warning, but eventually, you know, the warnings do need to end, and we do need to have some type of discipline, but it's not going to be, we're taking your phone forever. I think there is a concern too with families that, you know, we've paid money for this phone, you can't just take it. That's not what our plan is, you know, but, and kids are, like I said, kids are addicted, so you can't just, you know, you got to wean off, you know, so, and that's the plan. You know.
Can't just take it and go, all right.
Yep, that addiction's cured. Yeah, no, it's just because we said so, but you know that's not how it works.
No, but it's clearly you've done a ton of research. All the policies are fair and as open as you can to the students, the teachers, parents, everyone. And I know after I've been a moment, it always goes by so quickly, but was there anything else I hadn't covered that you wanted to make sure I mentioned before we wrapped up?
No, I think, I'm looking forward to just working with families on this. Like I said, I know it's a change. I get it. To not be able to get in touch with your child immediately is a change. And I acknowledge that. Being a parent myself, I know that is going to be difficult. But I think what we need to remember is sometimes our anxieties are our anxieties and we can't put them on our children. And the schools are there to help. The schools are there to help, not hurt. And I think our teachers get into being a teacher myself, I know, we get into the business because we care for our students. We love our students. And I guarantee that every teacher you're going to talk to is going to say the exact same thing, that they're going to help you through this. Exceptions are going to be made. The other part that we didn't mention is that if a student's on an IEP or a 504 or they have some type of medical concern, we can work with those families too. If they need their phone for, different things for medical reasons, we'll work through that and make sure, teachers know who those students are and I can identify those students. So we're going to work with families. It isn't going to be something that is going to be, harsh and immediately, discipline. We're going to work with you, but ultimately, this is what we feel is best for our students and best for our teachers and going to get the best learning in our schools.
For sure. All right, what was there? All right, we wrapped it up. He articulated it well, like you said. All right, well, I have to thank you again so much, both of you, for coming on, really sharing this policy and really shedding some light. I know I've learned a lot from this.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Of course, anytime, and of course, you can look into these cell phone policies yourself if you have any more questions. But for now, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Next Saturday, September 13th, is overflowing with events, including the Haven Project 5K. Registration begins at 8:30 a.m. at Lynn Woods Reservation for $34 a person. The race itself will commence at 10 a.m., but participants are welcome to run or walk. All proceeds will support Haven Project programming, providing resources for housing unstable youth in the city. Pre-registration is also open now for both participants and event sponsors. From there, jog over to the 2025 Goldfish Pond Fun and Flea Day. This annual tradition brings together more than 50 vendors, raffles, food, and the chance for residents to either buy or sell their goods yard sale style. Running from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., head down to Goldfish Pond and see what you can find in this treasure trove of objects. The rain date is September 20th, and there is still time to sign up to be a vendor. As previously mentioned, Trails and Sales will commence on September 13th. There are a plethora of events, including a Northern Strand Community Path Ride from 10 a.m. to noon on the 14th. Join Dave Reed of the Border to Boston Trail Coalition at the Market Basket parking lot next to the bike trail in Lynn. Bikers will ride over the Saugus River and along Roomy Marsh in Revere during this low-stress expedition. That brings us to the end of the first week of school and the end of another broadcast. Final elections are right around the corner, so follow @Lynn Community TV to learn more about upcoming forums and election coverage. To learn more about all the events on our community calendar, as well as news and government videos, visit lyntv.org. And head to Lynn Community Television on YouTube for PSAs, event recap videos, and more. I'm Danny Vittori, this is the LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Leo Inc., Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.